Once upon a time, in a peaceful meadow surrounded by tall, whispering trees, there lived a flock of sheep. The sheep were gentle creatures, always grazing happily in the soft, green grass. Among them was a small sheep named Lily. Lily was smaller than the other sheep, but she had a heart full of courage. In the forest beyond the meadow, there lived a sly wolf named Shadow. Shadow was always hungry, and he often thought about how he could trick the sheep and catch one for his dinner. But the sheep were always careful and never wandered into the forest alone. One day, Shadow came up with a cunning plan. He decided to disguise himself as a sheep and sneak into the flock. He found an old, woolly blanket and draped it over himself. With his new disguise, Shadow looked just like one of the sheep. Shadow crept into the meadow and joined the flock. The sheep didn't notice him at first, but Lily, the little sheep, sensed that something was wrong. She noticed that one of the sheep didn't behave like the others. This new sheep didn't graze or bleat. It just lurked at the edge of the flock, watching them with sharp eyes. Lily knew she had to do something. She couldn't let her friends be fooled by the wolf. So she came up with a plan. She pretended to be very curious about the new sheep and started to ask it questions. "Hello there. I haven't seen you around before. What's your name?" Lily asked. Shadow, caught off guard, didn't know what to say. He mumbled something that sounded like a sheep's bleat, but it wasn't quite right. Lily tilted her head. "You sound strange. Can you tell us a joke?" All the sheep here loved to laugh. Shadow had no idea how to tell a joke like a sheep. He stammered and tried to make up something funny. But it only sounded scary and mean. The other sheep started to gather around, curious about the newcomer. They began to suspect that something wasn't right. Lily saw her chance and whispered to the flock, "This isn't a sheep. It's a wolf in disguise." The sheep gasped and backed away from Shadow. Realizing his plan had failed, Shadow threw off the blanket and revealed his true self. The sheep were terrified, but before Shadow could pounce, Lily spoke up bravely. "Leave us alone, Shadow. We know who you are now, and we won't let you trick us again. You may be big and strong, but we are many, and we will stand together." The other sheep, inspired by Lily's courage, stood tall and formed a protective circle around her. Shadow, seeing that his plan had failed and that the sheep were no longer afraid, decided it wasn't worth the trouble. With a snarl, he turned and ran back into the forest. The sheep cheered and thanked Lily for saving them. From that day on, Lily was known as the bravest sheep in the meadow. The flock lived in peace, always on the lookout for danger, but never afraid. Because they knew that even the smallest among them could be the most courageous. And as for Shadow, he never dared to return to the meadow again. The end.